Gorilla is holding a single bolt. He's holding it like it's a diamond. He's holding it like it's the first bolt in human history. He whispers to it, You are the beginning of my empire. The bolt says nothing. Bolts are like that. Gorilla thought car manufacturing meant power, meant legacy, meant standing next to a shiny vehicle while cameras flash and strangers whisper his name with respect. He imagined himself in a crisp, white coat, clipboard in hand, nodding slowly at gleaming machines that build cars all by themselves, while he sips something out of a small, elegant cup. Passive genius energy. Tony Stark, but hairier. Gorilla pictured factories as magic. Metal goes in one side, a finished car rolls out the other, and somewhere a cash register goes cha-ching on autopilot. He didn't picture the other 20,000 steps in between, because nobody ever does. So Gorilla builds a factory, big, loud, full of robotic arms that move like caffeinated ballet dancers. Gorilla stands in the middle of it wearing safety goggles he absolutely does not need because he is not currently doing anything except standing there. He beats his chest once, proudly. The robots do not care. Then reality collision begins, and reality does not knock first. Reality kicks the door in. Turns out one car needs about 30,000 individual parts. 30,000. Screws, sensors, seat foam. Wiring you cannot see and pray you never have to. Gorilla orders steel from one supplier, rubber from another, glass from a third, and somewhere a tiny company overseas that makes exactly one specific clip that the entire vehicle apparently depends on. That company is having a bad week. Now Gorilla is having a bad week. This is called a supply chain, and Gorilla quickly learns that chain is not just a metaphor. He is literally standing in his factory tangled in actual chains, one link labeled steel delay, another labeled customs, another labeled the ship is stuck sideways in a canal again. He struggles. The chains do not care about his ambition. Gorilla checks his production costs. He printed the numbers extra big, hoping bigger font would make them hurt less. It did not help, because building one car costs more than Gorilla expected. And selling one car earns him less than Gorilla expected. And the gap between those two numbers is where his soul now quietly resides. Car manufacturing, it turns out, runs on razor-thin margins. Some of the biggest car companies on Earth make only a few % profit per vehicle. A few percent, after steel, after labor, after R&D, after recalls nobody wants to think about. Gorilla stares at his calculator like it personally betrayed him. He picks up his sacred bolt again for comfort. It does not comfort him. It is, after all, still just a bolt. Then comes the machines. Big machines are romantic in theory and financially terrifying in practice. Gorilla buys a stamping press so large it needs its own emotional support column. It costs more than several houses. It costs more than several houses combined, stacked, and set slightly on fire. He justifies it with a whisper. Economies of scale. Somewhere deep in his chest, a small, nervous laugh escapes. Because economies of scale only work if you're actually making enough cars, and right now, Gorilla is making exactly 4. 4 cars. One machine that costs a small fortune, 4 cars to show for it. That's not an economy. That's a very expensive hobby with headlights. Meanwhile, the assembly line workers keep asking Gorilla questions he does not know how to answer. Is this torque spec final? Gorilla nods like he knows what torque is. He does not know what torque is. He goes home that night and quietly Googles what is torque under the blanket, like it's something shameful. Then comes quality control, which is its own horror movie. One faulty part, multiplied across 10,000 vehicles, becomes a recall. And a recall is not a small inconvenience. A recall is Gorilla personally mailing an apology letter to every single car owner, while his bank account performs a slow, dignified death. He starts checking every bolt manually. Every single one. He used to hold one bolt like a sacred artifact. Now he is buried under a literal mountain of identical bolts, drowning, unable to tell any of them apart, muttering, "You all look the same to me now. like a man who has lost something important somewhere in the metal avalanche. This is the psychological breakdown, and it does not look dramatic from the outside. It looks like a gorilla sitting on an overturned bucket at 2 a.m., surrounded by spreadsheets, eating bamboo that suddenly tastes like absolutely nothing. He isn't tasting the bamboo anymore. He's tasting spreadsheets, metaphorically, mostly metaphorically. Because the truth about manufacturing anything physical, especially something as complicated as a car, is that it punishes assumptions. It punishes the fantasy of effortless scale. Every part has to exist, arrive, fit, and function on time, at cost, without failing. 30,000 chances to get it wrong. And modern capitalism doesn't reward effort. It rewards precision under pressure, repeated endlessly, without applause. Gorilla thought he was building a legacy. He was actually building a system that could break in 30,000 different places, all at once, silently, while looking completely fine from the outside. This is the quiet horror of manufacturing, and honestly, of most ambitious things humans attempt. From the outside, it looks like a shiny finished product. From the inside, it's a man clutching a single bolt in the dark, whispering to it like an old friend, because it's the only part of the process simple enough to still understand. Eventually, something shifts. Not triumph, not a movie ending, just quiet acceptance. Gorilla stops chasing the fantasy of the factory magically running itself. He starts respecting the process instead of resenting it. He learns that real production isn't about control. It's about tolerating chaos long enough for it to become rhythm. He picks his bolt back up. Just one this time. Not sacred, not symbolic. Just a bolt, doing its very small, very necessary job. Exactly like every other part of a system too big for any one gorilla to fully hold in his hands. He sets it gently on the line, watches it disappear into the machine, and for the first time in weeks, exhales. The bamboo tastes like something again. Not because the stress is gone, because he finally stopped expecting it to be simple.